patriarchy. Patriarchy is the astounding belief that the duties that you have to your country be the most important duties you'll have. Patriarchism is an arrogant way of thinking. It is an euphemism, political shit to confuse, for nationalism. Basically, the two are equal. America say, we are not nationalists because they find it not so political friendly to look at. But it is technically the same as nationalism, patriotism. The patriotists see his country as the most important thing and do anything to protect the beliefs and the dogmas and the stigmas of his country. So do the nationalists and attack anybody that challenges them. Is it not that? I myself was one biocentrist philosopher and one anti-nationalist. I don't believe my country is the most important, most sacred, and the laws in my country is being the most special. In any specific detail, in any way possible. Silly. Schopenhauer have once said, patriotism is a dirty fellow that have to pull out of corn, out of office. He also said, any miserable fool, who have nothing to be proud of, tries to find as a last resort, proud in the nation where he is born. He is happy to protect all his follies, all his imperfections, all his lies, tails and nails. To hold in some tradition, nearly because it being a tradition is not a good excuse for sustaining the evil tradition. Have you one other than carnism? Yes, slavery. Slavery was also once legal, was just so the law was acceptable and was national, according to the slave masters. There are mindsets. And so in this time, the same excuses been used to protect patriotism, human supremacism, anthropocentrism, the perception that the whole world is circled around humanity and not the other way around the way, that the whole world is not centered about humanity. And that we just been a little flock in the whole spectrum. One tiny molecule in a great spectrum that is far bigger than we will understand. And spectacular most of you humans, because we do not research about this. By my observations, humans are not, by definition, a logical and deep thinking species. The majority go with the flow, go with the media, are not thinking for themselves. I think one thing that people have to learn in this image, particularly young people, and that people that grow up, is to learn to think for yourself. Instead to follow somebody blindly. Because sadly enough, the most people on this planet are not so good. And they want to sell you stuff. To get more money. Squeeze you. I want to say, I don't give about, or if I have a trillion, or if I have 1 cent. I only care about making this world the less worst place than it was before I was born. And that's not my place will be for nothing. So, now we all understand that slavery was on time tradition that been based on discrimination. So as most of you maybe also know, speciesism is also a form of discrimination. It is a bit like racism, only then animals are the victims. Even a lot of gorillas and elephants can also make arts, for the people that say that animals don't can make arts. And I mean a lot of other aspects that also there can do. We not only animals that have a language, because a language is not only with spoken words. You have also sign language, like Coco the gorilla. Ground gorilla. How capillary from something like 2,000 words in sign language. That's to see the health of the see also used there daily. We've been extremely toxic on this moment. We think that we have the right to take anything. Just like in the time of slavery, the slave liberationists were called outrageous and enemy of civilization, what that even means. So was that for many other. But that's the majority say that it means nothing, because they follow just the masses, and not think for themselves, not thinking clearly, not thinking logical. They try to save the fat asses. Good people around whole history have always stand on the side of the weaker groups, of the oppressing groups. You have sometimes asked yourself the question, is it popular? Is it politically correct? Semi-conscious that it's been true. And you have to listen to the last one. We vegans, we are the defenders. You meat eaters, carnists, or how you want to call it yourself, or how we want to call yourself. You are the vandals. If you look to all social justice movements around whole history, what see we? What do we see? That always look the forms of oppressing from the position of the victims. The slavery liberationists looked from the position of slavery, from the position from the slaves. Just like the Allied forces look the position of Nazism from the position of the Jews. Just like the of the women's rights movement, I've looked it from the position of the woman. Just like we, the animal rights movement, look it from the position of the animals. If you honestly place yourself in the animal's position, there is no excuse for what you do to them. There is no excuse for intentional harming some other when it not be necessary. You can use some vicarious self-defense in this situation, because cows, pigs, turkeys, chickens, they have nothing harmed us. We are the ones that harm them. Humans, not vegans, it's carnists. Vegans are the ones that try to eliminate the harm by standing up and speaking out against the injustice of the majority. And the stubbornness of the majority. Their cognitive bias and cognitive dissonance, their optional delusion of their consciousness, that absolutely make them blind for all their cruelty. I want that you think about this. How will you feel if the day you are born, somebody else is already planned the day of your execution? Because that is how to be a cow, a pig, a chicken, or a turkey on this planet. They don't be free, they're being born in slavery. Even freedom is supposed to be a birthright for any living being. I mean, no good, friendly, nice, and just person think it is okay to take a knife and take it between somebody's throats and cut them and feed them then to others because somebody like it. No. Don't make shit up. If you are not the victim, don't imagine it entirely from your point. Because if you are not the victim, it becomes pretty easily to mock your victims, make fun of their entire existence, say that they be stupid and dirty. But when you are the victim, things look a lot different from that angle. There's no excuse anymore for what they do to you. Understand you? The only thing we ask is that you stop consuming the dismembered corpses of innocent beings who have nothing harmed you ever in your whole life. That's only what we ask. eat beans, eat lentils, eat legumes, eat tofu, eat seitan. But let the animals alone. They don't want to be your food. They don't want to be your plate. They don't want to be turned in clothing or entertainment. Veganism is the least you can do for them. You can also then, if you have the knowledge and the spirit to stand up for what we right, you can also be then go direct in action and confront people online. And if you can still be a little bit friendly face to face to them on the street, or if you've been in a park or something like that, you have to talk with somebody, talk about veganism, because veganism don't affect only your health. Veganism affects the whole ecosystem. Because around something like 7% of all the greens, all the lentils, all plant products we feed to the billions and billions of animals in the animal agriculture industry. And billions of marine animals also, with fish farms now, instead of 7.5 billion healthy humans. Do the math. You don't have to be Einstein to figure out this conclusion. Animals, 60 billion land animals produce a lot of shit. That shit comes in the sea and create ocean dead zones. Zones in the sea where not life possible anymore is because of extreme pollution. And that affects also the whole ecosystem in the sea. There have been a lot of laws that you know about. And we have to make laws that be not based on arbitrary criteria. Like we now have laws in India be totally different than the laws in Japan, or the laws in Taiwan, or the laws in Europe, or the laws in America or Australia. You have to get sane laws that be not based on arbitrary criteria that be made up by people in history how use the laws to control others. And if you find it shocking what I have all say to them, you maybe have to think about it and read some history books about your country and look to which kind of people your laws have wrote. Maybe I do for any country that I know. And make a whole list of people, if you like it, put in the description below. And it will enough for now. And I say, go vegan. Stop making excuses. And I see you next time.